I've consulted the Leader of the Council and the Leader of the Opposition. I'm going to take 10A and 10B together. So that's the corporate plan and the medium-term financial plan, because they mesh together very well. Can we moving those, please? Councillor Lepard and Councillor Swords is seconding. Other way around. Councillor Swords is, I saw Councillor Lepard's hand first. Councillor Swords is proposing and Councillor Lepard is seconding. In which case I'll hand over to Councillor Swords to debate.
Thank you, Chair. I'm extremely pleased to bring this referral from Cabinet on both the corporate plan and the medium-term financial plan at the same time for the first time that we can find in many years in this council. Without straying too much into what the LGA report says, it's a tantalising read, I can assure you, which genuinely commended and recognised that much enhanced process of the creation of the corporate plan and the medium-term financial plan, specifically highlighting the fact that benchmarking and data was intrinsic to the creation of that. That both documents are fully evidence-based. These are no longer just political ambitions, but they're absolutely rooted in evidence. I think the LGA also said that it sets out a very clear roadmap for the next 4 years of the council with 6 corporate missions. It builds on the success of the 5 priorities, which they commended as well. I do apologise for keep referring to the LGA, but when an outside independent body commend you, it's only right to highlight that, of course. But this, particularly the creation of the corporate plan, which I'll start with, went through an extensive process of consultation with our staff. Myself and the Chief Executive held a series of roadshows with staff. All teams discussed this, and the feedback we had was resoundingly successful in that all staff felt that they had been empowered, had been part of this process. And again, dare I say, that's what the LGA report recognises. Likewise, the same process with the medium-term financial plan. The reason for bringing both at the same time is that the principles, and I'll come on to the point about the NTFP shortly, the principles of the two are absolutely integrated. We have a corporate plan for the council over the next 4 years, and we have a plan of how that is to be funded. You will note, of course, that the medium-term financial plan is simply an update at this point, and that's because the final version of that document will come forward in February accordingly as the budget is shaped fully, but we felt it was extremely important to bring it forward at this point. It's of course the case that the MTFP shows budget gaps, which is absolutely normal at this time. Obviously that won't be the case in February as the budget gap is closed, and I will leave Councillor Lepard's comment on that, but we're extremely confident about our financial position and how that's heading. But both of these documents are absolutely rooted in evidence, set out a very clear roadmap for the council over the next 4 years. Whomever may be in administration, I think these are 6 missions, corporate missions, that will stand the test of time. They've been welcomed by external partners, they've been absolutely embraced by staff, and I commend it, both documents to the Chamber.
Thank you very much, Councillor Swords. Councillor Evans, a second, do you wish to speak at this moment?
Yes, thank you, Chair. The format and the content of the medium-term financial plan has been radically revised and condensed. This has been a major piece of work, seeking to make it relevant, reader-friendly and comprehensive, replacing what was often a confusing, protracted and opaque version. We are confident that what has been said, this is an interim report. The final version will be presented in February with the budget, and we're very confident that this 1.7 million will be closed by then. We already have plenty of indications that it's reducing significantly already. I won't go into details at this stage. And we will have this financial settlement next week, which is one of the missing pieces in the jigsaw. So I think you should all take some comfort that this will be closed, and we will have a new model of the financial, medium-term financial plan going forward. It's also important to mention that we have benchmarked this again, and benchmarking is intrinsic in the report. You will see our peer group of authorities, and we are looking at relevant KPIs. I've already spoken with Councillor Councillor Edwards that we're willing to sit down with him to discuss and finalise the KPIs for the MTFP with our peer authorities going forward, and hopefully we can sit down and do that maybe before the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ledwell. Does anyone else wish to enter the debate? Councillor Vince.
Thank you, Chair. And I can't really ever go to Councillor Sauce for mentioning the LGA, because I think I've mentioned the LGA about 5 times in the 2 questions that I put forward. I'm not going to comment too much on the corporate strategy. I don't want to give too much away for when we take power in May, but I do want to comment on the finances. And, you know, genuinely, I know there's the back and forth we had about this, but I do think we need to be very careful not to have a too rosy picture of where we are in terms of finances. You yourself, Councillor Swords, said in the last Cabinet meeting, there does come a point where you can't cut any further. I think you used a salami reference, actually. And we are, you know, being forced to ask to do more and paid less. And a few of the councillors here attended a training session recently, a briefing session, I should say, about the housing bill. And it's right that we raise the standards of houses. It's right that we raise the standards of council houses. But we know there isn't any additional money for that. Again, the LGA, the same letter, it says that ongoing inflation and demand pressures combined with market issues in specific sectors mean that costs are outstripping available resources. Balancing the books in 2023-24 will be challenging, and setting a balanced budget in 2024-2025 even more so. Again, I mentioned the statement I made in the question. We need clarity to provide as soon as possible on funding streams for the 2024-25 settlement. I generally look forward to seeing it. I don't know if that's quite the right word, but I do. And I think we need that certainty, because it is a really uncertain time. I have to say we have faced over a decade of cuts to local government funding. You know, we can sponsor as many roundabouts as we like, but the reality is that doesn't take away the huge cut that we have as a local authority face. So, you know, I recognise we're in a better position than a lot of councils, and you know, despite what you said, I do think that's a lot to the last Labour administration as well. You may not agree with me, but we do need to be very serious about the challenges we've got. A £1.7 million budget gap we've got to fill. That's got to have an impact on services, and we've already seen we've lost staff, we've got vacancies that aren't filled. We have seen a decline in services, and actually, you can quote statistics you like, but you speak to residents. I speak to residents in my ward who are still really concerned about things not getting done. And yes, you may say that the list of repairs has gone down, but actually, I've got serious concerns. I've seen some seriously disturbing images of the quality of those repairs. So actually, we really need to recognise the challenge that this council faces.
Thank you very much, Councillor Vince. Does anyone else wish to enter the debate? I've seen Councillor Perrin indicate.
Just thought I might add a little bit of cheer into the debate after listening to that diatribe. I wouldn't. He's back. I'm back. Yes. I certainly would disagree with the gloomy outlook that the Labour Party has just put across. Whilst there always things we can do better, I seem to remember a time that before this administration came into being, we had grass that wasn't being cut for long periods of time, hedges were overgrowing, roundabouts looked terrible, housing backlog was going backwards, we had big gaps in our finances, and our town centre had gone unregenerated for well over a decade. Now we've got a town centre that's being regenerated. Yes, the beloved roundabouts are being sponsored, and that's saving this council £100,000 a year, and that's able to put into other things. We've frozen council tax for 2 years, and we gave it a massive cut in the first year in, despite what the leader of the opposition said wouldn't happen, and it did. There's lots of great things happening in this town, and we need to talk it up, Chris, not talk it down. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Perrin. Anyone else wish to enter the debate? Councillor Perkin.
Yes, thank you very much. I think one of the frustrations of this council, and one of the things that we hear on the doorstep all the time, is that they're sick and tired of the lies that they believe that this council is telling them about how everything is wonderful. It is not wonderful, it is hard, it is difficult, it is challenging. Just go to the food bank and look at the queues of people who are standing outside, desperate, honest, hard-working, but need that particular help. Look at the fact is that we're having to open up areas to give people coats because they cannot afford to keep themselves either eating or heating. We really need to have a realistic, honest and open and truthful discussion. Everybody knows that our government is in chaos. Everybody knows that they've run out of road and they've got nowhere to go. They're using smoke screens where they can about Rwanda or anywhere else, what's happening between Israel and other areas of these ones. The simple truth is, we have got a gap of 1.7 million. Now, optimistic that they feel that they are going to pull the rabbit out of the hat, but as the leader said at Cabinet, they don't have the rabbit and they've sold the hat over these issues. We didn't say it, and I was listening, but we have to be honest, we cannot simply rely on the fact that people are going to use our car parks. We cannot rely on private sponsorship. We cannot just rely on some idea that the Harvey Centre is all magnificent and all wonderful. It's not, but it's work in progress over this. And we also have to understand, which my leader has said time and time again, is that part of the savings is part of the recruitment and the freeze that we've got, which automatically will mean that services are not going to be provided to the standard that we require. So all I'm saying is that I just wish we could just turn a notch by being more realistic and honest to the hard-working and dedicated people of this town, because the real people out there are not having a good time, and that is directly related to all levels of government and governance, including this council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Durkin. Councillor Gunn?
Thank you, Chair, and I'll keep my comments on the reports in front of us, I think, rather than stray more widely. And I wanted to focus, if I could, on the corporate plan, not a strategy, a plan. And I know that's important to the leader. I particularly want to commend the inclusion of how we're going to measure what's in the corporate plan. And that was a key request that came from the Scrutiny Committee when it had the opportunity to consider this plan and to offer its opinion on it, with that contribution coming very much from both sides of this chamber. So I fully support that, and I think others will too. If I could point out that I'll be keen to see how those measurements are going to be tracked by the council, how the corporate plan will be scrutinised more widely, and if there are any further comments from the proposer, the seconder on that, I'd be interested to hear them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gunn. Councillor Dabbridge, your hand went up briefly. You've already spoken. Was it a point of order or no? Okay. Councillor Charles is the next to debate.
Well, thank you, Chair. I'm very pleased to speak on the corporate plan and its focus up to 2028. I just want to particularly look at the Protect Our Communities element of the corporate plan. One of the key strengths of this council is its work with the voluntary and third sector as a whole. Those charities, those individual community groups are the lifeblood of our town, and it's important that we continue that focus. And I see that it is a reoccurring theme in this corporate plan, and I'm pleased to see that. But of course, we must go further. And I know that this council has consistently taken a compassionate approach to supporting those in most need, and that is to be welcomed. We must also have a laser-like focus on antisocial behaviour. And in all of our e-post bags, we see day after day concerns about not only pickpocketing, not only thefts from small stores, but also the violence that is happening out there. Essex Police are doing a fantastic job to tackle those issues, but as a community leader, we must stand up and continue the fight against antisocial behaviour and crime in this town. and I'm glad that is a prominent priority in the corporate plan. There are two other things that I would just encourage the Cabinet to focus on in particular that are there but could be enhanced going further. Our arts community. Our arts community is a gold standard in the east of England. And we as a council, working on a cross-party basis, have been successful in celebrating that. But I think in the coming years we must do more to support them. It was something that I was always very keen to see this council focus on, and I hope in the coming years that the Cabinet will lead on that front. The final recommendation I have for the Cabinet is a focus on preparedness. All local authorities need to wrestle with the fact that crises can happen. What I want to see in future focused areas of the action plan that results from this corporate plan is a focus on what those potential crises are. I know that work is carried out. But I think a further investment in that would be useful, learning the lessons of freak weather events that we have encountered, but other matters that have caused this council to focus strictly on them and get the job done. So that's what I would say to the Cabinet. There is a clear positive way forward, and I'm one who will be supporting it. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Charles. Councillor Edwards.
I just wish this corporate plan would be a bit more honest. I mean, it talks in here about the provision about a hospital being under construction in 2025, for example. The hospital still hasn't been signed off. The land still hasn't been purchased. The planning permission still hasn't been granted. It talks a bit in here about the Health Security Agency moving to Harlow. We've no timescales yet as to when the Health Security Agency is going to be moving to Harlow. We have no details yet. It talks in here about raising education skills in the future, for future generations. There's no mention in here about the Gibbard School, Sir Frederick Gibbard School, and the shocking, appalling state that that's in, and the impact that's going to happen over the next 4 years on the pupils of that school. So I just wish, alongside the stuff that they are saying that they're going to do, and that they would also take on board the stuff that isn't being done. So, for example, the town centre talks about revitalising the town centre. Yes, indeed, some of the town centre will be revitalised, but a sizable chunk of it is owned by Strawberry Star. And at the moment, Strawberry Star haven't agreed to Section 106 agreement. And we have a situation where we have a town centre, a good third of it has been knocked down and not been built. And it is an appalling, shockingly maintained, well, it isn't maintained, it's in a shocking state. And there's nothing in here, in terms of the corporate plan, about how those issues are going to be addressed. So whilst on the one hand, I recognise that there were some things that I will welcome in here. Well, so there are some things that I will welcome in here. On the other hand, as I say, I do wish that we would start from actually a statement about how Harlow is now, and a statement about the issues that we will be tackling. There are some issues that we will be tackling, that's all to the good, but there are some issues that remain stubbornly outstanding.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards. If you could turn the microphone off, please. Councillor Garnett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wasn't going to speak on this tonight, but some of the rubbish that's coming out from across there, I think it amounts to jealousy. They spent 30 years doing nothing. If we're doing it, they won't admit it. Councillor over there is scraping the bottom of the dustbin trying to find things that are wrong. Why not talk the town up? It's happening. We're doing it. Just admit it. Don't keep denying the fact. Look at housing. We destroyed the housing almost.
Sorry, can I stop you for a moment? I'm conscious passions are running high. Councillor Durkin, You've had your chance to speak, please don't interject, and that goes for everyone else. And certainly, Mr Hope, and audience members should
Yes,
know,
sorry.
members of the public shouldn't be interrupting councillors when
I
they
know,
speak.
but
Please, so
they're
please,
doing nothing.
Please refrain.
They're doing
Please
nothing.
refrain.
So I'm suing.
Mr Hope, please refrain from commenting on the debate, or I will seek to remove you from the chamber. Thank you. Councillor Garnett, please continue.
I think I've probably finished now. I've made my point. You know, we are working hard. The officers are great. The cabinet's great. But they're jealous because they couldn't do anything in the 30, 40 years they've been in charge. They've let the town run down, run down, run down. And it's a long way up. But we will get there. And we'll know next May when people, who the people believe, is it us or you?
Thank you, Councillor Garnett. Councillor David Carter.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to clarify one point about the hospital. The hospital has come down, or the proposed hospital has come down 4 or 5 years ago. It's going to take quite a few more years to get this sorted. It's probably going to be over £1 billion in cost. When we look back, the administration at the time decided to build Lister House, the new doctor's surgery. From the time they started and the feelings went out about Lister House, it was 10 years till it opened. This was a small project to the Harlow Hospital. So when you're talking about times and how long it takes, go back 10 years it took you to build Lister House, the new Lister House, from when you started to when it actually opened. So please, you know, Harlow Hospital is a £1 billion project. It will take a bit more time then. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carter. Does anyone else wish to contribute to the debate? In which case, I'll go back to the mover, Councillor Swords, to see if he wants the right to reply again.
Almost tempted. Well, I think the first thing is what we've heard in the debate. It spells out the clearest of clear divides between the doom and gloom of a party that literally have no plan, and to quote, have run out of road and have nowhere to go, which is the Harlow Labour Party, compared with what is an extremely ambitious but deliverable corporate plan and medium-term financial plan. I will just pick up a few of the points, and perhaps in the spirit of what Councillor Durkin said, I will stick to the facts. The facts being that we have reduced 81% of the backlog in housing repairs, that we've cut void turnaround times by over 60%, that we've embarked on the first stock condition survey this council has carried out in over a decade, that we're introducing tenancy audits, that we've totally overhauled the landscape maintenance and street cleansing programme, that, for instance, even on the smallest things, we're replacing 2,400 street name signs in Harlow. What do you think the budget was when they left office? How many signs could they replace a year? Less than 20. That shows, even on the smallest of small things, the difference that is being made. Councillor Durkin spoke of the doom and gloom of the budget. I would draw his attention to the medium-term financial plan, which is clearly not referenced in his speech, because actually it shows the significant difference in view, indeed, it's what Councillor Vince spoke, and that they have a very one-dimensional approach to finances. And that is to tax people more and get the government to give them more. Instead of what we have done in recent years, for instance, acquiring 9 acres of the town centre, which has boosted our general fund budget by over £1 million already, and will continue to improve it. Embarking on setting up a groundbreaking regeneration partnership. I would encourage you to speak to Hill Group, one of the greatest developers in the United Kingdom, who have commended this council for setting up in record time a development partnership which is already on site. Speaking of one of those sites is the former Lister House site, which of course the difference of finances is again stark, because we had a party that spent £1.13 million on that site to not even get a spade in the ground, compared to what we are doing, which is delivering a scheme over there. There is no recruitment freeze, just to correct what Councillor Durkin said. We are actively recruiting and vacancies are lower now than they were in May. Coming to the point that Councillor Gunn made about measurement, absolutely a very important point, and was taken on board from that scrutiny committee session. The delivery plan that the delegation we're seeking gives myself and the Chief Executive will set out project by project, outcome by outcome, how that will be measured. It will be reported to Cabinet on an annual basis, be published on a monthly basis in terms of performance, as we're doing, as was never done previously, will be reported to Cabinet annually. This is a 4-year plan for the first time as opposed to a 3-year plan, coupled with the medium-term financial plan. As I said, Councillor Charles raised some fantastic points, particularly about the arts community, and as the Chair said earlier on, we hosted a reception last night for performing arts and made very clear our ambitions to put Harlow on the map as the arts and cultural capital of the East of England, particularly with the Arts and Cultural Quarter we're bringing forward, thanks to the £20 million that this administration secured from the government. I really don't recognise the comments that Councillor Edwards made about the town centre, because of course we are literally on site today delivering regeneration in the town centre, and as Councillor Perrin said, contrasted with the 10 years previous, I don't think chalk and cheese would do it justice. So I absolutely commend these plans to the Council. I think they are really going to move us forward over the next 4 years, as the LGA said. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Sauce. There being no more debate, Councillor Leopard, you appear to be indicating, is it a point of order? Have you got a point of order? No, okay. In which case we'll move to the vote. There's clearly a difference in the room, so I'll say those in favour of the recommendations on the corporate plan and the medium-term financial plan, please show. And those against? Abstentions? Thank you, they are